What up? You know what it is. It's the Charlie Newhart Show. All right. Like and subscribe if you like real content. If not, just get off. All right. I want real people, real subs. You know what I'm saying? I'm this fly, my nigga. Hey, so this is what you're going to find on this episode. I'm going to be talking about my time at First Baptist. How a dude talked about he had a boner in church. We talk about my time at Ford Motor Company. We'll talk about the 90s a little bit. Talk about how I got custody of my kids in 2001. And I'm just talking about how two alphas can't combine a space at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Because every alpha has his own pack. So that becomes a little tough when that happens. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about. I got a really dope guest. So, yeah, stay tuned. Like I said, hit the like and subscribe button if you like real content. If not, get off.
Give it up for Charlie Newhart! Come on!
Look, what up? All right, so let me tell y'all this First Baptist story. I grew up in church, First Baptist Church in Romulus, Michigan. Right? That's an airplane.
Fucking Japs attacking? What's going on?
Man.
I'm gonna have to edit that out.
No, leave it in there. We're leaving it all in there, dog. I like it. Leave it all in there. So First Baptist Church, we was in the choir stand. Me and my brother and my dad was in the male chorus at First Baptist. So I was like maybe 10. My brother was 8. And there was this dude in there. His name was Mr. Courtney. And he was always clean. It was an older black dude. It was like 75. In this day, he had like a yellow suit on. And we was in between songs. And that nigga looked around at all of us. And we was in rehearsal. He looked around at everybody and was like, hey, y'all. I went to the doctor the other day. And that nurse touched my leg. And my thing went like this. Nigga held his arm up and demanded eye contact from all of us. And even at 10, I knew what this meant. Like, nigga got touched by the nurse and nigga had an erection. And at his age, he was just excited that he had an erection to the point where he wanted to tell everybody in the male chorus during rehearsal at First Baptist Church. It was the greatest experience ever to hear that nigga say that and to look at my dad's face. He was like, well, all right, we're going to get into the next song. Like, are we just going to skip past it? This nigga talking about he had a boner at the doctor's office?
Moving right along, children.
Moving right along now. My dad didn't address it in the car at all. I just knew for sure, like, he was going to be like, look, Mr. Courtney was talking about his dick being hard at the doctor's office, all right? The nigga was excited. All right, anyway. Yeah, First Baptist Church, that was, just thought I'd share that. Also, I need to share that I will never skydive. You know, I'm never going to skydive. Like I said, I can't do it. And when I ask people sometimes, like, you skydive, have you ever skydived as a man? Would you skydive?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why I wouldn't do it. Because every photo I see, there's a dude strapped to a nigga back at all times. And here's my problem is, what if that dude strapped to your back, what if that nigga gets excited midair? Ain't shit you can do about it. You fall in 20,000 feet, nigga behind you got a boner and shit. That's a bad experience. If I'm ever skydiving and the nigga behind me gets wood, I'm going to tell him, dog, don't even pull the chute. My nigga, let's just die together. Because I don't want to live to tell this experience, man.
Okay, what if you had a female instructor?
Oh, that might be different. I'm going to need to be behind her, though.
That's not how it works, boss.
I'm going to need to be. If I got a female instructor, I'll be behind her, and I'm going to be in some really thin jogging pants and no drawers. Like, I need 30,000 feet. I'm going to need to feel every movement. Like, it's all right, Mom. I got you. That's the only way. Female instructor behind me, I still don't think. That's just not, I don't know. You ever seen a dude riding on a motorcycle and his girl's driving and he's on the back?
I have never seen that in my entire life.
I seen it once. But even worse is when I see a dude holding on to another dude on a motorcycle and he's behind him and he got his arms wrapped around his chest. Like,
Wait, was it here in the United States?
yes.
Okay,
That's bad ball.
Because that's common in like Southeast Asia and other stuff like that where bikes are used to get around. That's a little bit less culturally.
Yeah, but I still don't think you should be. There's another way. You can hold on to the nigga's shoulders maybe if you behind him. But
Facts.
if you got your arms, you behind the nigga, you got your arms wrapped around
like
his
that's
body.
Your prince and you're galloping on a fucking stallion.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
I'm telling you, if I'm on the skydive shoot and that happened, nigga behind me, don't pull it, my mans. Let's just go. So I can be up in heaven and telling God, like, why'd you let me skydive with a nigga behind me? I won't do it. Here's another experience. I was in Walmart the other day trying to buy my kids some inner tubes for their bike. And I had to wait because the inner tubes was locked up. I'm like, what the fuck they got the inner tubes? I mean, it was like behind lock and key. So I had to wait on an associate to come and let me in.
Inner tubes.
Inner tubes.
Can you make meth out of those?
I don't know, but guess what the fuck? I'm pretty sure the white people know. We need to ask them, can you make meth?
From inner tubes?
From inner tubes? Why are they locked up? Maybe you guys can share. I don't fucking know. But what I do know is while I was in there, dog, waiting on inner tubes with my kids, waiting on them to unlock the door, I look and there's some tweakers holding bikes. One got both arms and one of them's got like a little scooter. And I'm like, these niggas, and as soon as I thought it, these niggas, they ran out the side door and stole all the shit. And it puzzled me. The inner tubes are locked up, but the bikes aren't. Fucking stupid. You got tweakers and then you got a door right by the bikes. And it's so crazy is when the associate came to let me in the glass where the inner tubes was, the alarm was going off like they had literally just ran out. And the alarm's going off, that nigga didn't blink an inch. She was like, which inner tube you want? This motherfucker not acknowledging that these tweakers just ran out the door with bikes.
He is not on loss protection. They ain't paying him for that. He is paid to open this little thing. He ain't.
Yeah, I get it, but to not even acknowledge it, I'm thinking he would have said something like, "Man, that shit crazy, right? That nigga just what inner tube you on? I'm used to these tweakers running out of here with fucking bikes and shit. He didn't even acknowledge it. And then one of my kids was getting ready to volunteer some information, and I grabbed, hey, no, we don't do that in our community. We don't. You're not volunteering no information. He's not a police officer. And even if he was, it's like this ain't nothing. We here for inner tubes. We're gonna get on out of here. And I was thinking how much that's attached to our culture, how we just be like, shit, we don't like talking to the police because it never really works out in our favor. So when people say somebody should say, they should tell what they see, our experiences with the police and telling have not always worked out in our favor. So I had to school my kid like, look, first of all, this nigga don't care. All he wants to do is give us the inner tubes and leave. But them tweakers that ran out, they used to this shit by now. But you're right, nigga wasn't loss protection. For loss prevention. That's why he didn't give a shit. Alphas. I want to talk about this. A lot of people are asking me like, man, why you ain't on Craig Facts no more? Why you ain't? I still team up and work with Craig. I was on his show the other day, Roast with the Host. I was on a couple morning shows. And me and this nigga still talk on a regular basis. But two alphas can't occupy the same space at the same time all the time. Every alpha needs their own pack. I'm a boss. You know what I'm saying? He a boss. So it's almost like with the 5150 show, you can't expect him to be there every day. You know what I'm saying? Because he's an alpha and a boss too. And he sold a period of time into Corey and then branched off and got his own show, which is dope. And that's the way I operate. So I'm tired of y'all continually asking me, go back. Look, sometimes you are around a person for a period of time to learn and grow. We've learned and we've learned from each other. We've grown. But now as an alpha too, I got to break off and have my own pack. I got to go get my own money. I got to go get my own bag. And then we team up every now and then and I got to get my own. And that's for some of y'all too. Like some of y'all are overstaying in certain relationships. You there too long. Not meaning you don't have to be cool, but eventually, dog, you got to break off and do your own thing. Especially if you an alpha, you a boss, you used to having your own. Look, I had a successful entertainment career before I even moved out here. I didn't even go on nobody's podcast with the intent of trying to be famous, get to know somebody. I just enjoyed being in the room. I was already successful at what I was doing before I walked into certain rooms. But when you was there for a period of time, you there to learn, but like, two alphas can't be and occupy the same space at the same time. And that's really what that is. I love going back to create and do my thing, but I got to have my own pack. I got to have my own deal. You know what I'm saying? And a real nigga will respect that. Only a lame leader wants people under them all the time. Because I like to develop people and then you branch off and do your own thing. I develop you, you branch off and do your own thing. But I'm not the kind of nigga that want people under me all the time because it's weird. You may be working under me or with me for a season, but eventually, if you don't, my dad had a car lot in Detroit, and my job was to train the salesman and train people to go. But if I saw you had potential, I would train you to go to the auction with me to buy cars. I would train you to do exactly what I did. But I'm training you to do that so you will become a dealer agent to go do your own shit.
Right.
Not to be under me all the time. If I saw you were an alpha as well, oh shit, there's something special about this motherfucker. Let me show them all the ropes. And eventually I want you to branch off and do your own thing. Because when we see people get disgruntled in relationships and friendships, somebody's overstaying their welcome. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably an alpha who wants to be a boss, but he don't know how to break out and do it. And I'm trying to tell you that when I fuck with people and I see you have that alpha boss mentality like me, I'm going to sew a little extra into you. Like Craig was here the other day. He was like, dog, I shared more with you than most niggas. It's because he understood that we both had an alpha boss mindset. And I'm grateful. He sold so much into me about this internet shit, but he didn't sew it into me so I stay under him on everything he do. He sold it into me so eventually let me break out and do my own thing. So that's really what that is. It ain't no, dog, I love everything dude is doing, but I can't be there every day. I got to do my own thing and vice versa. He can't be here every day. We going to team up and do some shit, but it's like, I love sewing into people and developing them. And you know it, it's so many people that ask me what I got to do to get in commercials. And nigga, I'll send you a bullet point email and I'll help walk you through it. But that don't mean you're going to stay with me with every project that you do. You got to go out and do your own shit. Nigga, be a boss. How you going to leave a legacy? I love what Dame Dash was saying when he was on that. Did you ever see that Breakfast Club interview with Dame Dash? He's on there and he's kind of getting into it with Envy. And he told Envy, he was like, okay, you work at this radio station. Where's your name at in here on the wall? He was like, I own stocks. He was like, okay, you own stocks. He said, but what can you leave your kids? He said, I have businesses. I have things that I can leave my kids. You got to take a step. And it was, you know, he was being a little brash and aggressive a little bit, which he can be. But if you look at conversations like when you grocery shopping, that's how I look at when I'm conversating with people. I go in with a list. I buy what's on the list and I leave. That's how I listen to people. So if you listen to what he's saying, at some point, you got to be a boss and have your own, because you can leave that. Like right now, you're walking in something your father left you. Like
literally equipment that he left me that we're using today.
Facts. That's legacy. But if your father was a company man and wasn't into doing his own thing, it was like, I just could do everything they say he could. He left you something, and now you're eating off something he gave you.
All the skills that know how to run all of this shit. I didn't learn this in the past few years. I learned this working side by side with him until he was like, all right, you know enough. Now you're an independent sound mixer.
See that? He didn't want to keep you under his wing all the time. He realized, like,
because we were always like,
yeah, two alphas of beef. You had to have your own. And he recognized that, but he loved you so much. Like, okay, I see this in my son. You the only child?
No,
Otis. He said, I see this in my son. Okay, he's an alpha. He's a boss like me. Let me give him all the tools. And eventually, my nigga, get out the nest. Go get your own pack. You know what I'm saying? And this shit that you walking in now is what he left you. And that's, as men out here with children, man, build something to leave your kids. And even if it's you leaving them money, give them the wisdom and the knowledge to handle the resources you're going to leave them, or they're going to fucking blow it.
Money's good. Knowledge is better.
Nigga.
It's
that's
like
a bar.
Bible, it's like that Bible verse, you know, teach a man, or, you know, give a man a fish, he'll eat for one day, teach a man a fish. It's the same way. You teach your kid, because that was his big thing with me. Like, I got to teach you how to read between the lines. I got to teach you about all the pitfalls. I got to teach you about what these shady producers, how they move. Wow. So that way, when you go out and work on these sets, you know who to deal with. You know what's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That's very specific to industry type shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, a lot of kids unfortunately don't have that. But you're 1,000% right. You need that in my opinion, because that game helped me skip past so many fucking people. You know what I'm saying? There's people still today that are still trying to figure shit out, and I just kind of laugh, like, damn, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no, because some stuff is caught, not taught.
Like you said last week.
Just being there, just being in the environment, and just like my youngest daughter was like, she was looking at this book or this movie I was in. You can check it out. It's called Beyond the Mask. I play a character named Jeremiah Flack. I have to tell niggas that I was in movies with speaking parts, because they assume so you was an extra or something? You was a stand-in? No, nigga, I had some. Okay, the fact that I got to explain it to you let me already know that you small-minded. I have speaking parts in movies and TV shows. So my kid was looking through this book or this movie I was in, my daughter, and I saw her for like 40 minutes just in the book looking at pages. And then 2 days later, she was like, I know what I want to be. I want to be an actress. I said, really? Okay. Well, I want you to get on your computer and find a 1-minute monologue that you like. Explain to her what a monologue was. And you print it out and you memorize it and you work it in front of me. And she sat there at that computer for like an hour, found a monologue, printed it out. I saw her with all of this effort. Then I saw her memorizing the lines. She was, all right, I'm ready. And she, off the top of her head, did a monologue, and a tear damn near rolled down my eye, bro. I'm like, oh my God, I can help this baby navigate through this industry that's horrible.
The worst.
The worst. But now that's my job. I want to provide a platform so she can avoid some of the pitfalls that I experienced and shit. But I was like, dang, this gift is in this baby. This is something that I can give her. It's my job to give her a platform. And that's one of the reasons I'm serious about building one, because I've done the whole Hollywood audition shit. I've booked roles, been successful at it, and I'm grateful. Still getting residual checks to this day. Thank you, CBS. Thank you, NBC. Thank you, all the national commercials. I love going to the mailbox. Straight up. So I'm grateful to God. I ain't got no complaints. But I know that the journey to get there was managing rejection was one of the toughest things for me. Going in the room, knowing I killed it, and then them telling me, you're on hold, Charlie. Out of the 40 actors, it's down to you and some other guy. And can you block out these dates? Yeah, block out these dates, a recurring role on such and such Netflix show. And then sometimes you get that call. Sorry, Charlie. And then I get beat out by some nigga that's been acting for 40 years. Like, really? You're still competing with me? Why the fuck you don't have your own show, nigga? Unreal. Most times, Langston, 9 times out of 10, when I lost a role for a show, it was some veteran actor, 30, really? 40 years, some very notable nigga. And I'm like, wow. First of all, I'm grateful that I was even able to compete at that level. It was between me and him, really? And sometimes it was a call like, Kevin Hart just picked him. It was his friend. Producers wanted you, but Kevin, and it's like, I understand that's his friend. I probably would have did the same thing. I ain't mad at him, but there's been so many times where I was that close and didn't get it. And then there was so many times where I did get it. I remember I auditioned for Empire, and same thing. I got all the way down to the wire, and it was between me and one of my friends. It was like 100 actors, and it was down to me and him. And then I had a dope ass agent at the time. She was just giving me the updates all the way through. Like, Charlie, it looks like, the directors, they didn't want you, and can you block out these dates? And it's between you and this other guy. And then Terrence Howard basically went in the room, was like, okay, because it was a fight scene between me and him. Is eventually what it went to by like scene 3. This nigga looked, how tall is he? Because Terrence Howard's like 6 feet even. I'm 6'3", and he's like 170. I'm 6'3", 220. And then he had an issue that me and him looked alike, and I was bigger than him in the fight scene. And he made the call for me to not be in the scene and picked the other dude who was smaller than me, brown skin, looked totally different. And he was like, well, we're going to go ahead. And that's the kind of shit you got to deal with in this industry. I can get
rinsed by another light-skinned nigga on camera?
Like, wait a minute. Another light-skinned, green-eyed nigga that's bigger than me in a fight scene? Let's get this dark nigga.
Coming from Iron Man.
I'm coming from nigga. Ain't no way you gonna have a nigga in the scene bigger than me. And it's so much of that. It's so prevalent in the industry where they're looking at. And my agent walked me through the whole thing. Like, he wanted, and I'm not mad at the nigga, but if you don't have tough skin to deal with that level of managing rejection, I would tell y'all this is a sick industry to try to be a part of. And if you are sensitive, but that shit right there hurt me for about a week. Like, I know I killed that audition. I know I wowed everybody in the room. And it gets down to the wire, and the producers and shit want me, but it's like, Terrence said no. But for every no, there's a yes. But vice versa, what every actor wants is like a director's only audition. I hate callbacks. Callbacks is like second and third interview. You go for 1, you go for 2, you go for 3. I hate that. Yeah. So while I was out here in Cali, I was a stand-in for Boris Kodjoe on some Code Black TV show.
I love that show.
Code Black. Basically, he had to leave and do something, and I filled in for him for the remaining scenes, just as, mask on, doing all the shit that he was doing. Basically, a stunt double. You know what I'm saying? So I'm on that show.
Now I'm going to go back and watch that shit.
Yeah. There was a scene where it's just, you can't really tell as you really look, but it's like me through the last 5 minutes of the scene because he had to leave. So I'm on that show, and I get a call from my agent, like, you got a director's only audition on Chicago PD in 2 days, Friday. This was Wednesday. Can you be in Chicago? I was out here. I was like, I could figure it out. I hung up the phone and then remember that I had a show at the Comedy Store that Friday too. So I had to call and I'm the kind of person that if I know I can't do it, I will call you with an alternate that's similar to me. Like, hey, look, I can't be there Friday, but I got such and such information here. And then I found a ticket going to Chicago. So I flew there, and man, I was 3 hours late to the audition, dog. I showed up, it was an issue with the Uber and blah, blah, blah. And I was about to shit my pants. Like, fuck, I'm 3 hours late. I was supposed to be there at 3. I get there at like 6. And they damn near walking out. And I walked up, and I killed the audition. I killed it. The director was there. The Soul Glow dude from Coming to America, his name is Eric LaSalle.
Yeah.
He was there. He was the director and the producer of this episode, and a couple other white people. And they was in there, and they was, can you do it like this? And I killed out. And this is how I do auditions, really. When I'm done with my scene, I don't wait on the director to tell me something else. I walk out the fucking room. I slammed the door. I did my scene and walked out and slammed the door.
You're a mic dropping ass nigga.
And then the motherfuckers, I could hear him like, did he fucking leave? Charlie! Guy left. And I stay out there in the hallway for a minute. Like, I let that shit build. They brought me back in. Man, we thought you left. Oh, listen, can you do this and that? And I did the other scene. So that was a director only, meaning if I nailed that, I didn't have to do a callback. So I left, and I was getting on the plane. Right before I got on the plane, my agent called me like, you got the part. You got the guest star in Chicago. I was so, dog, it was tears flowing. So I'm saying that to say for almost, you get that rejection, you get that no, or somebody picks you, there are those moments where I bypassed the whole basic audition process, nailed it. And then they even told me that I got the part before I got on the plane. I was so grateful for that moment.
That's got to be great.
Huh?
That's got to be awesome, man.
Man, I was on that plane way up, like, dang, every no led up to this. But honestly, I represent a small percentage of actors. Like, not a lot of actors come out here and make it. Not a lot of actors come out here and book national roles and commercials.
Tiny, I think we talked about that before, like the tiniest fucking sliver of percentage. Like,
it's like 2%. 2% of actors can go to their mailbox and get legit checks. I ain't talking about like no $22 checks. Like, you go and get legit. I represent part of that 2%, which I'm so grateful to God for. And that's what I was talking about in the previous episode, that before the 90s opened up this door for people to be famous for being famous. Fame used to be a byproduct of being good at something. I spent a considerable amount, 12 years of my life, honing a craft to be good at acting. I won several awards and blah, 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 even theater awards, and I'm so grateful. But, not that I'm like a C-list celebrity. I ain't even A or B. But
come on, you're at least B-list. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, okay. So I'm B-list, but the fame or whatever, the little itty bitty sliver of fame has come from the fact that I'm good at something, not because of how I look or anything like that. And to me, that's just kind of how it should be. Go out there and be good at something, whatever it is. Entrepreneur, business-wise, whatever, but leave that legacy to your children at the same. And don't worship it, because who I am and what I do is two totally different things. I don't worship this industry. It's just a gift. I love to create art. But sometimes when art meets commerce, it gets weird. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
It gets weird when art meets commerce. But for me, I just love to create art. And right now, I just love to talk shit to y'all on camera. Because I'm like, damn, man, I want to give back. This is me building the leaders that I talked about earlier. Alphas can't have the same pack. You got to do your own thing. This is me helping to develop you to go out there and accomplish the things you're supposed to accomplish so you can go out there and get your own pack. I'm the virtual big homie. That's why I'm sharing books and shit. You really want to go after some stuff? I'm going to share these books now in the beginning. The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. A Practical Guide to the Fulfillment of Your Dreams. Deepak Chopra. This is a great book just to kind of help you. You don't have to agree with everything in the book. I don't agree with everything in here, but this will help. This is one of the books that will help you kind of hone in into what you're good at and actually start pursuing it. And also this book too, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Break through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. This is for all my creators. You really want to start working on those creative gifts and accomplishing those goals. This book will help you face yourself, because it talks about resistance. There's something inside of all of us that fights wanting to do the steps necessary to be successful. How are we going to leave a legacy or something to our kids if we don't face ourselves to do the things necessary to be successful. You know, write down your goals too, put them on your wall, vision boards, all that, but don't let that define you. Still be who you are and what you do. Let those be two totally different things. Yeah. Cool. I address those issues. Talk about the tweakers at Walmart. Skydive. I want to tell y'all this story real quick before I go into bringing my guest on. I got custody of my kids in 2001. And like I was trying to get them, my two daughters, they was going through some issues with their mom. And I was like, dang, I really want custody of these kids. And I fought to get them. I paid like $4,000 for a lawyer and lost. And then I literally just gave it over to God. Like, God, I mean, I want custody of my daughters. I really feel like they'll be in my care. They'll be best in my care. And I gave it to God. And sure enough, in 2001, I remember their mama called me and was like, come get your kids.
Wow.
I literally had to give it over to God. I couldn't be like, you playing. I said, look, the only way I come get them is if you go down to court and sign over your custodial rights right now. And, or this week, you sign over your custodial rights to me and I'll take them. Bro, we went down to court. She signed them over to me in front of the judge, and the judge didn't believe her. She was like, is he threatening you? Is he making you do this? And I'm looking at her like, Your Honor, why are you trying to interfere with what we got going on? It's an agreement. I'm not, sir, I didn't ask you to talk. Like, she didn't even believe her, to the point where after we left, the judge never completed the order. Like a month later, I had to order court transcripts, hire an attorney to go back and make that judge give me custody of the kids. Right. This shit was insane. This was in Detroit. Friend of the court, FOC. My boy Martini Harris got a funny joke about that. Friend of the court, FOC. When you read it, it says, fuck! Shout out to Martini Harris, man. That's one of his jokes. It's hilarious. But yeah, man, but she signed them over and she moved, and I was raising these two babies, and I was a baby, literally. I was 21. I was 22. And I had this 3 and 1 year old that I was raising. And basically I grew up with my daughters. They watched me go through it all. The stories they tell me of what they seen. What did they see? I remember, they saw me fighting on the basketball court. They saw me throwing parties. I had this house on Wayne Road in Romulus, and I was throwing parties damn near every weekend. They saw me get into it with so many different people. But I remember one time, my ex, she, with a mama, she was with this dude that spanked my daughter, and she told me, she was like 4. Because when she gave me custody of them, they would still visit her every now and then. So I guess on a visit, he spanked my daughter, and she told me, and I was beside myself. Like, man, this nigga. He like left a mark on her leg and shit. So I called her, and I was like, what you doing letting this nigga, you know what I'm saying, hit my baby? What's the deal? And I could hear him barking in the background. Man, you tell that nigga, oh, is that right? Put him on the phone. I was like, man, don't you ever? And he wouldn't even let me get a word out. And I was like, you know what? I'm on the way. It was like 1 a.m. I put the kid, because they was with me. I put the kids in the car, put a hoodie on, and I had some other things with me on the way there. So I go over there, because I need to see this nigga face to face. You putting your hands on my baby and you talking extra tough. So I get over there, and I'm beating on the door 1 a.m. I got an old Caprice sounds and shit. I'm parked on the grass. I'm beside myself, banging on the door.
It's a situation.
The kids is in the car. They sleep, but I got the music blaring, and I'm like, tell that nigga to come outside. I just need to talk to him. I need that energy face to face, man. That nigga doing hitting my kids, man. Man, she comes outside. Hey, I don't want to see you. I want to see him. I look, and this nigga's peeking out the window like Malcolm X under. I see eyeballs and blinds. And nigga come outside. Whole ass nigga don't want to come outside, man. But the whooping stopped after that. Because even though I grew up with my kids, even though they saw certain things, it was like, I feel like they were in my care for a reason. Like, I was protective. I just didn't let certain things happen. And then I grew with them, and then I changed over time. You know what I'm saying? So this goes out to all the young fathers out there, man. Don't give up on your kids, dog. And if you got custody of them, you know, that responsibility will mature you. But don't be so hard on yourself, man. Let yourself grow and change. But I had to give it over to God. And then I got custody of my kid. Once I gave it to him, I'm telling you, I was just praying. My mama was praying, like, God, you know they best in my care. You know what I'm saying? And she just called me. Come get your kids. I couldn't even believe, really? Even though I had been praying for it, Langston, I still was like, what? Come get him.
Fight my fucking ex.
I said, okay, well, then go to the court. Let's go to court. And went in there and signed it to the point the judge didn't even believe it. But God knows, you know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful for that opportunity to raise my kids, man. But I never gave up on them. You know what I'm saying? Don't give up on your kids and give them something, some type of legacy they can go with. So I'm going to bring my guest on and we're going to talk. And it's crazy. This fly was over here being all active. And as soon as I brought this over here, nigga disappeared, dog. He saw me bringing the gun out. Fucker.
You saw what happened to his cousin? He's not trying to.
Yeah, he saw his cousin get clapped. All right, I'm going to go get my guest.
Do you have to pee this time?
And I'm going to go pee-pee.
Give it up for Charlie Newhart! Come on!
Let me stop you because you are new to social media.
What?
And these things are frowned upon. These discussions
Man, I don't care nothing
will
about
get
that.
you flagged
I don't care nothing about
and
that.
get your page taken away.
I don't care nothing about that.
So-
you was at a show with me the other day.
I know.
You see how I behave.
And you can do that at the shows. But when you're trying to monetize content on a site that's owned by people who are paid for the movement to go a certain way, they don't allow you. They actually have it in the guidelines. If you read it, you're not allowed to speak against certain topics. So
yeah, we're just having a discussion.
yeah, hide this later in the segment.
Yeah,
Before.
This is 30 minutes in. I already did the
later,
first 30.
later.
30.
Later.
Listen, Tangerine, you know how I get down. I
do.
appreciate your knowledge.
I do.
Your care and concern, but you already know that I don't. Everybody was that night. Everybody was trying to Charlie. No, and I'm like, listen, y'all.
You're using terms that we've been told we're not allowed to use anymore. But I actually saw you do a commercial with the same terms. One of your commercials in between one of these podcasts. I was like, oh, this is him. He's gonna say what he wants to say.
I don't give a fuck. I gotta say what I want to say.
I love that. But you are a friend of my friend Corey Holcomb.
Yeah.
Craig Smith.
Yeah.
You know, Marcus King. You're under that podcast world.
Yeah,
so
I'm
y'all talk how y'all want to talk.
Yeah, and then the funny part is I've been on that other side. I've done that. I did TV shows and commercials and, you know, movies and all of that. I did that whole Hollywood, let me audition and be ready at all times and manage rejection. I did that part. And, yeah, it was cool. It was a good run. And now I got to be able to say what I want. Okay, let me tell y'all, listen, this is one of, to me, I love her energy on stage as a comedian, just her energy in general. When she takes the stage, and not a lot of comics to me have the ability to work in crowd work and material, but make the crowd feel like they're part of the show and not attack them. Some people do crowd work and they attack the crowd. She has this level of energy where she balances crowd work and set and conversation. I feel like I'm in a living room listening to your stand-up. It's so dope. That's why I keep bringing you back to the show, because I'm like, man, her energy is just, you know what I'm saying? And then for you to telling me how long you did comedy, I'm like, there's no way. I know niggas who've been doing comedy 12, 13 years don't have that ability to, I don't know, that's just your gift. And I'm blessed to know you. Yeah, I see your set. It's just amazing. Let everybody know who you are and, you know, just talk a little bit about yourself, please.
I really appreciate that, first of all. It means a lot coming from somebody who's been doing comedy longer than me. And I'm learning every day. I'm doing as many shows as I can, especially this year. It was one of my goals to just focus more on stand-up than TV, because I come from TV first, then stand-up, whereas most people do stand-up to get on TV. I did the reverse.
There we go.
I really am taking it more seriously this year. So when people who've been in the game a long time, like Mike Larry told me something similar after the show we just did with you.
Yeah.
And he was just like, how long have you been doing it? And he was like, the way you were dealing with the crowd and the way you were comfortable. And I was just like, wow, this means a lot because you've been doing it 15 years.
Right.
But yeah, my name's Tangerine. Thanks for having me on your podcast. You've been talking about it for a minute and I'm finally here. Actress, producer, comedian, host, social media influencer, fundraiser. Whee! Celibate Nympho. I'm on a few TV shows, Family Time, 8 seasons on the Bounce channel. You can watch it on Amazon Prime though. I'm on 2 seasons of a show called Millennials, which is on the All Black app, which is owned by AMC, but you can also watch that on Amazon Prime. And you can see me sprinkled throughout the Fat Tuesdays documentary, The Era of Hip Hop Comedy, which is also on Amazon Prime. So I have 3 series on Amazon Prime right now, and just doing stand-up whenever I can. Just got back from Hawaii, doing about 4 dates in Hawaii a couple weeks ago, and got some shows coming up here in LA, and I'm just living my best life.
Y'all hear that? This is why, one of the reasons why I fuck with her is because me and Langston was talking about this before, that the 90s kind of changed shit up a little bit, because in the 90s, people started to become famous for being famous. And actually, fame is a byproduct of being good at something.
Should be.
It should be. And it's almost like you kind of frown upon it. You just wanted to be good at art and have fun, and then the fame comes, you can't go out in public. One of the reasons I fuck with you so heavy is that you're excellent actress, producer, writer. Like, you're good at this shit.
Thank
you. Wasn't trying to just pursue social media and consistently to tell everybody like I'm an influencer. You was doing shit way before that.
I was, yeah.
And you're famous and you're great at what you do. You're famous because you're great at what you do, and I just got to give you your flowers now.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's one of the motives of the show. I don't bring everybody on the show. I got motherfuckers really calling me trying to come on here. I'm like, if you ain't real, I don't want you on here.
I like that. I like that about you, and I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah. Fuck that. I don't want no lame people on my shit. Some weirdos and shit. I want real people on my show, but your resume is so dope, and you're famous because you're good at something. So I want you to talk about your journey. What got you started in art? And how are you able, this is a 2-part question. What got you started in art? And how are you able to balance the mixture of art plus commerce?
Ooh, art plus commerce. Ooh, because that's what it's about.
You know what I'm saying? Let's get to the monies.
I started my journey when I was 6 years old doing a school play.
Oh, shit.
Made the cafetorium laugh at my one line in Hansel and Gretel as a gingerbread man, cardboard cutout. Enjoyed the feeling of making the crowd laugh, and said, ooh, I like this feeling of whatever this is called. So I started taking acting classes after school and doing all the local theater in Inglewood Playhouse and different things like that. And I just knew I wanted to be an actress, but my mom was like, you know, you have to go to college. It's a great experience. It's going to be one of the best things you do in your life. Right. And nobody in my family had gone to college. So I was like, okay, I can do that, because school was really easy for me. So I was like, all right, I went to college, but I majored in radio, TV, and film production and multimedia management so that I could understand all sides of camera, not just in front of it. And that way I could own a production company and put projects out for people of color that wouldn't normally get projects put out. So that was always the goal. And right now I own a company called Citric Cinema Incorporated, and I'm doing, you know, just that. So
boss shit, nigga.
So back
boss
then,
shit. Okay, go ahead.
So back then I was doing internships in college with big major studios, and then I finally quit. I got hired on immediately to be paid to work behind the scenes, and I was seeing how much I was getting. How much I was getting was great, but how much I was paying actors when I was doing their SAG paperwork, I was like, oh, they're only here for an hour, and they're making this, and I'm making that, and I was like, let me not forget my goal was to be in front of the camera. So I quit that job. My mom was like worried about me, like, what are you doing? You have your own office, you have interns reporting to you, you have your own extension. Like, why are you quitting? Why are you quitting? And I was like, because this isn't the goal. The goal is in front of it.
Right.
So I started to, you know, just trust God and have faith. And I was like, I know I can make even more money than I was making before, because God loves me. God has my picture on his refrigerator. So
I love that. Psalms 139, man. He were fearfully and wonderfully made. Yeah, I can go through a whole. He got a book wrote about us that's got all our names and everything in it before they ever took shape. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Amen. So yes, I took a leap of faith, quit the job, and I had faith that I would be able to still maintain my income. And you know, it wasn't easy. I waited tables. I was a greeter at Fat Tuesdays at the Comedy Store, which is why I'm in the documentary. I was a cocktail waitress at the Mo Better Mondays, which was the Monday night black night at the Improv on Melrose.
Oh, shit.
I did that for a while. I was waiting tables graveyard shift at IHOP on Sunset. while doing background acting on a lot of different TV shows and movies so I can have my SAG insurance and have my SAG card and have my dues paid. So I was also doing what you're not supposed to do when you're a background actor. You're not supposed to talk to the main cast.
Right.
But I always...
Hell yeah, get that knowledge.
I always sat with them and the producers and got to know them.
Hey,
and
I used to do the same
ended up-
shit. When
Yeah,
I was
it's
an extra for a while, I'd be like, man, what do I got to do to get on your level? And most of them be like, they love talking about themselves. Well, let me tell you, Charlie.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I'm still friends with a lot of them to this day, but I was able to learn a lot by just being on sets all the time, being paid to be background, and eventually being a stand-in, but just talking to the main cast and going to parties with them and hanging out with them and just figuring things out. And then they'd be like, hey, I got a part for you. I know something you could audition for, whatever. So the journey started there, from 6-year-old to then internship in college to doing background work. And then I started, because I was working at the Improv as a cocktail waitress and being funny when I was waiting the tables, somebody offered me to audition for a sketch comedy live show. So I started doing live sketches at the Improv Lab and at, the Second City and places like that around LA, which is super fun, but it's different when you have to try to get a crowd in over and over again in person when you're doing sketches, because the internet wasn't really a thing with sketches yet. So I'm doing this live and it's so much fun, and everybody who comes is like, oh my God, we love your group. But I'm like, okay, can you come back next month? Can you come back next week? And of course, people don't want to keep coming back. So when the internet became popular, when it became popular for Vine, moved over to YouTube and Facebook, it was like, oh, well, I can do this online and get paid for it. But that was years later. Between that time, I was doing TV shows because I was like, well, let me get to where the big money is.
Right. Hell yeah. Let's get to them residual checks.
Yeah. So commerce, it's a big question, so I'm not sure where you want me to take it, but doing TV and film, of course, you get paid when you're union and you get paid when you do the job. I was doing commercials as well, and you get paid every time the commercial airs.
Hell yeah.
You get paid every time the TV show airs.
I love going to the mailbox. I can't even front.
Yes,
but
mailbox.
The only thing is, that mailbox money is dope, but then it's a fucking surprise. Like, wait a minute, man. This check is $32, but then the one next week is like, oh, this $3,200. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, and I now have direct deposit on some of my residual checks. So they just send an email and it says, this is going in, and I'm like,
life.
And because of the books that I've read, I always say, no matter if it's a 4-cent residual or a $6,000 residual, I always say, thank you, God, I am a money magnet. I am a money magnet, and I'm just continuing to attract more money. Because some people get upset about opening an envelope and it's a 42-cent check in there, and it costs less. It costs more to mail it than the actual check, but it's like, it's still money. Yeah. And they had enough integrity to send it to you. They could have been like, it's 42 cents, we're not going to send it to her. No, they had their integrity. Absolutely. This is what they owe you because the show is that old or whatever. But I'm a money magnet. So I like that. Besides the residuals of the jobs that I've done in the past and then being paid for the shows that I do now, I also sell merchandise on Tangerine.com. I have a store that has masks, and it has shirts and hoodies and different things with different sayings. I have one that says plant-based. It's what that mouth do, because I'm plant-based. And when niggas ask what that mouth do, I mean, I could do that, what you talking about, but also I like to put things in here that are clean and organic. And
absolutely.
Shout out to Organic Charlene. And holy and beautiful. But I have a shirt that says 80% vegan, 20% mind your business, because, that's how I eat. And I hate when people are on my plate saying, well, can you have that? I thought you were vegan. There's butter on that bread. And it's like, that's bitch, 20%. Chill.
That's 20%, bitch.
That's the 20%. Get off my motherfucking plate. So I have a shirt that says, I have one that's just my cartoon head inside a tangerine. I have like 12 or 13 different types. Tangerine. My name is not spelled like the fruit. It's spelled TANJAREEN.com, and just click store. But I have a bunch of merch in there, leggings, socks.
That's part of the
all
commerce.
That good stuff. I also part of the commerce. And I also have a Patreon. I have patreon.com/tangerine, and you can subscribe to me on my Instagram page because, they just started the subscriber thing. So people can subscribe and get exclusive Instagram stories from me. And, I'm monetized on Facebook. And before my YouTube page was deleted a year ago, I was monetized there as well. Yeah, they have rules. I'm telling you. And I didn't even break the rule. That's why I know they can take your page away whenever they feel like it.
Yeah. That's why I'm to the point now where I'm putting shit on my website. Like, you can't take this shit off.
That's what you have to do.
And then pay for advertising on my website, shit like that. Shout out to Langston Ball. Put me up on game.
There's also a site I can tell you about where people can pay to it's like a Patreon, but they'll go to your.com. And they can pay to watch your videos without having to have advertisers. They can just pay for your content. You can set a monthly fee, and then they can just watch your stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to get that. See, this is what I love, being around people who I can learn shit from. And I was talking about this before. Like, one of the reasons like men are really restrictive with me at times, but when I'm around women, I learn a lot about the world and what I'm doing through women. You know what I'm saying? No, you good.
The way Langston leaned over, like, what did this bitch just do?
He like, yeah. So I was talking about this before. One of the things I honor about you, Tangerine, is that you don't depend on. You're a very beautiful woman. You don't depend on your beauty as currency. You know what I'm saying? Some women, women and men, and I'm not hating on them for it, but it's like they're only leaning on their looks for currency. But you mentioned so much shit there. I got merch here. I got these shirts. I got this going on. And I love that because it's like I'm not leaning on a look. I'm not leaning on the fact that I'm a beautiful woman. I'm leaning on the fact that I can hustle. I can go get it, and I'm good at something. And when I'm good at it, and because you attract attention. You're one of those people that attract people wherever you go. And when you walk in the room and you attract those people, they want more of you. Oh, you want more of me? Go to my site and buy these shirts.
Tangerine.com.
You know what I'm saying? And that's for anybody with mixing art and commerce. If you're that type of person where people always want more of you and you have something to offer, Proverbs talks about merchandising the gift. You have to merchandise the gift. And people kind of skim over that. I think it's like Proverbs 8. But when you merchandise the gift, that means the Bible says that every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father of lights. Everybody has a good and perfect gift in them. But that gift, it's up to you to take the time to merchandise it for the people. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, people want more of you. Website, shirts, plant-based, like that shit. And it's comedic to your nature. But I want to go back to talking about, now it makes sense that your comedy is the way it is. And you're able to do it so fast. You spent so much time in the dopest rooms. Fat Tuesday?
Yeah.
And the month, just being in the... You know
I
how
was
much I
also
would pay to be in them rooms?
I was also the audience coordinator for one of the seasons of Def Comedy Jam, so I would help bring the audience there. So I met a lot of comedians doing that and became friends with them. So not only did I see their Def Jam set, but then I would become friends with them and go to the shows with them and watch them work. And then I would help produce shows for Clayton Thomas years later. And so I fell in love with comedy because I had a blind date when I was a teenager, and he thought I was older than I was, and he took me to a comedy club, and I wasn't even old enough to get in, but I saw great people working on material that are famous now. Wow. And I was like, ooh, I love comedy. I never imagined myself doing comedy. I just loved watching it. I thought it was something so powerful that you guys were doing, making people happy and making them. But yeah, I've been studying it, not knowing it was for me to perform, but I've been studying it since I was a teenager. No,
it makes sense now. Now, hearing the shows that you were able to see, like I was out in Detroit at that time, and it was, it was some shows. I remember it was Coco's House of Comedy, going in there and seeing some of the Detroit greats. But coming out here, it just opened up a whole nother level of global comedy and global things you can say on stage, as opposed to just being out in Detroit. So that makes sense. Being able to mix in your art.
Shout out to Kool-Aid and Blackberry and Mike Larry. And
yeah.
All the homies.
All the homies in the city. Blackberry was my spot. Mike Larry's spot was Mandy's. That shit was rowdy.
I went there before. It was very ghetto.
It was ghetto to the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like he been doing it long. I haven't been doing it as long as Mike and some of them other dudes. But when I first started, I was like, nah, Mandy's, I ain't ready for this. I saw them destroy like a very well-known comedian. They killed this nigga.
Yeah, they
like,
don't give a fuck.
Get this hoe ass nigga off the stage. And, let me tell you about, and I want to ask you one of your wildest stand-up experience, but this is one of my, when I first started. Because I was the kind of nigga, like, I wasn't consistent. I would do comedy for a year, and then I'm acting, I'm doing plays. Then I would do comedy for 6 months, and then I would book a role on a show, and I'm like, I was only doing it's kind of selfish to say, but I was only doing comedy to just stay refreshed from my auditions. I didn't give a fuck about.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people do, though. The second they book a show or series, they're like, okay, cool, I don't need to do stand-up anymore.
Yeah, I didn't take this really serious till about 2 years ago, where I was like, all right, let me quit playing and let me get serious about it and learn. But I remember I was at Coco's House of Comedy, and they got this thing in Detroit where they would shake their keys at you if they didn't like you. You know what I'm saying? So I hit the stage. This is probably my second or third time doing comedy, and I told one joke and everybody laughed. And I took too long to get to that second joke, Tangerine, and I was kind of stumbling, and I locked eyes with this big black bitch in the front row. And I watched her reach into her purse and grab her keys. I was like, oh, no. And I tried to rush to get to the joke. She hit that key, and it was a sea of keys, Tangerine.
Oh, that's so
Everybody.
disrespectfully funny.
Oh God! And I'm still, because the protocol is when the keys shake, nigga, get your ass off the stage.
Okay, it's a Sandman.
Sandman.
Okay.
But me on some stubborn shit, I'm just like, let me fight through. I can win the crowd, and I'm trying to get to the joke. And this nigga in the back, one guy, he's the one that killed me, because when everybody was shaking their keys, this nigga said, "Get your whole ass off the stage, nigga."
That's the last thing you want to hear as a comedian.
And not only that, everybody bust out laughing. Like, he the one getting the laughs, not me.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around, and then I look over to the side, and the host is like,
Damn.
man, I just had to get my ass off. I stopped doing comedy like 5 years.
Yeah, that can scar you for sure.
Killed me.
For sure.
And I can handle, big girl with the keys. I can handle the audience. It's your man.
Yeah.
It's
He
that
killed.
nigga,
He
man.
ripped. He ripped that night.
I mean, first you destroyed me, and then you get all the laughs,
Yeah.
and his timing was impeccable. Get your whole ass off the stage, nigga.
I need to see if he's teaching classes.
Nigga murdered me, dog. So, I got so many funny, crazy, weird experiences, but I wanted to ask you, like, in stand-up, what has been some of your more memorable experiences? Not just stand-up, the acting world in general, because your resume's so cold. I'm pretty sure you've seen it all.
I've seen a lot. I mean, I've had some good times and stand up. Like I said, I just came back from doing shows in Hawaii just
That's lit.
last month, and I had done shows out there this year earlier in
Right.
May. So I've been, doing stand up in Hawaii twice this year is a pretty great career high. I was in the movie Johnson Family Vacation, but the movie was finished, and then I got an audition to do a non-speaking, like, glorified extra role, to just sit in a chair and kind of wave and cheer Uncle Earl's character on, which is Cedric the Entertainer's character. I was just supposed to sit in a chair and just look at him while he danced. But of course, I'm going to do some extras. So I did the audition, and I was doing some extra stuff and dancing and all that. I booked the part. I get to set, and the movie's finished, but I guess when they did the testing of screenings, people were like, we want to see more Uncle Earl. The movie's not enough without seeing more Uncle Earl. So they wrote some more scenes for Uncle Earl, and they wanted this girl to just sit in a chair and kind of wave. So I get to set, and I'm standing up, and I'm dancing, and I'm freaking on Uncle Earl. I'm having a good time. And Cedric is like, oh, I like you. And then he was like, I'm going to give you a name. No, I said, can I have a name? I said, I don't want to be an extra on my IMDb.
Extra number 3,
I want to have a name. And he was like, okay. He's like, yeah, I like you. Let's call you Peaches. And I said, well, actually, Cedric, my real name is Tangerine. So if you're going with fruit names, just call me Tangerine.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I like that. So scene starts, and he goes, Rainy, get in here, Rainy. And I start freaking on him. And then he starts this whole ad lib looking at Vanessa Williams like, don't she look just like you? She look just like you, don't she, baby? And I'm sitting here in a scene with Vanessa Williams, who was Miss America at one point.
Lit. She bad.
Bow Wow, Solange Knowles, Cedric the Entertainer, and my ass was just supposed to be an extra sitting in the chair waving her hand.
I love it.
But that was a great experience for me, because that movie, I was in the trailer. So when the movie was coming out, people were like, I think I just seen you in a trailer. Right. And I shouldn't be in a trailer for a movie where I was just in a split second where I was supposed to be sitting in a chair waving my hand around.
He was memorable.
Then they started airing it on flights, and they were airing it overseas. So I was getting checks. When you start to get the residuals that come in the pink.
Come on, dog. Come on.
That's overseas money. So I'm getting the pink checks.
I just got one of them from Star Trek. They aired it over in some part of Europe. I was like, wait a minute. I opened up that envelope, that pink check, almost fell. I damn near fainted.
The
Thank you, God.
Hit different.
Thank you, Jesus.
So I was getting the pink checks for the John's Family Vacation. I was having people texting me and calling me from everywhere saying they saw it on the plane. They were watching it with their family. And I was like, okay, this is a good feeling, especially because it came from a spot where I was supposed to just be a glorified extra. Right. And now it's me. You're using my actual name. It's Tangerine, played by Tangerine.
That's what I love about God, man. God, I heard a really wise man say years ago that, when you're a believer, it's about small beginnings, slow growth, and then supernatural breakthrough. You were willing to take that small beginning. And then also, too, we access favor by asking. Sometimes we just go into a scene hoping and just thinking that one of the things that you do, and you'll ask, like, Charlie, you've had me on your show 2 times, right? Can I get such and such, and what does it look like again, and where we da. You don't mind asking.
Yeah,
but
why
honestly,
not?
too, I can't believe I got friends who I've been doing comedy for years. And honestly, I'm just waiting on them niggas to just call me and ask me for a spot. None of them will. I can't believe it. And I will give you a spot on the show. I'm that kind of dude. But me more so, now that I'm so busy, I got other shit going on, the closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah.
If you ask me, and I honor that about you, you ask, Charlie, so when we're going to do it again, can I get that information up? What's going on? Can you?
Yeah.
And then I fight for you like, all right, well then I'm a da-da-da-da-da, but you ask.
Like
burn.
turned red and burned, and I was like, "What is this? I
What
feel
is
like
this?
a white person. What is happening?"
It happened to me when I went snowboarding. I was like, this is possible?
Yeah, who knew? Still don't wear sunblock.
Yeah, not me either, but I should have. My whole head was peeling.
Damn, because it was bald.
My whole head was bald. It was peeling like an orange and shit. Skin was falling off. But yeah, so this extra story. I did.
Are we
extra,
back? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we
We're
good.
back.
I was back. I did extra work for like a year and a half because I was like, I just want to learn how to behave on set. I want to just be in. So about a year and a half, I did this shit, and I remember each time I did it, I just got wilder and wilder. Some of the scenes they pulled me out of that was too big, bigger than other motherfuckers
Oh,
in
yeah,
there.
you
and,
gotta
you know what I mean?
know
Or
your
if,
spot.
If I'm the
Terrence Howard
focal
bounced you
point.
out again.
Say what?
Terrence Howard told you to go away again.
Hell yeah.
This nigga's too tall.
Yeah, Terrence Howard did that shit to me on Empire. Anyway, now that guy, I'd be overpowering other actors, but
And you light skinned with light eyes. Terrence didn't want that.
Hell no.
He didn't want that next to him.
no, I was telling him this story that I had booked. Basically, I booked a callback on Empire. I had already did Chicago Fire, and I had a decent little guest star on that, so I'm doing audition for Empire. And my manager at the time was so cool. She was telling me every step of the way, like, all right, it's down to you and one other actor, and it was a nigga I knew. And she said, they want you to block off these dates. Cool, I'll block them off. But it's still kind of, it's not for sure. So I'm basically like, I know it, because I know I killed the audition. But at the last minute, it was a fight scene. It was a word exchange and a fight scene with Terrence Howard. And this nigga looks at my stat sheet like, wait a minute, this nigga, he's 6'3", 220, I'm 6 feet. Yeah, like 180, and it's a fight scene, and yeah. Like, he made the call for me to not be in the scene.
I understand why.
I ain't mad at that.
You're going to make him look bad. I get it.
He didn't want it. So I'm like, but as an extra, I started enjoying it. Like, oh, I'm about to just do whatever I want in this motherfucker. I'm in the background, fake talking and doing whatever. So I was in this bar scene. It was a TV show in Detroit called Detroit 187. It was on ABC. It only ran for one season. And I was one of the recurring detectives, like 4 days a week. I was there. I was a geek. Like, I'm a recurring detective. I'm not talking, but I'm in the background, fake talking and walking through the scene and shit. And, I got a fake real gun, the jacket, the whole nine. So we in this bar scene, we're celebrating one of the detectives' like 20th year. And they got us in the background. Detectives in the back. You guys just look like you're having a good time. All right. And action. And by this time, I'm like, it's the end of the night, and I'm trying to get as many laughs as possible. So we supposed to be in the background dancing and drinking, and then I lined up some sugar on the table, like a line.
No.
But I'm like, the cameras is way over there.
No.
And then I went on a nose touch. Cut. Who the fuck sat back there doing cocaine?
Because people really do cocaine in Hollywood, so they thought you were serious.
Yeah, and it was like, wait a minute. And the fact that they saw me, it was
That's
like
hilarious.
half of Video Village was crying, laughing.
That's
the other
so
half was
funny.
pissed. And they just pulled me out the scene. Like, just get him out.
That's hilarious.
We're at the end of the night. This fucking guy's doing coke. But just for the laugh value of it amongst the other extras was like, nigga, you out your motherfucking mind. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to be able to come back. But it's like that extra work. It made me get so comfortable on set. So now I'm doing the commercial, I'm doing the show. I'm just like, what up? I'm chopping it up with the gaffers and, you know what I'm saying? Everybody behind the scenes. Because when the difference with that and stand up, you got the audience to react from. But now you doing a TV show, it's like now everybody behind the scenes is your audience. So I'm doing shit to make them laugh or crack jokes with them. But that extra work was unreal. I want you to tell everybody a little bit how, I'm not quite sure our age difference, but like I grew up, I was a teenager in the 90s, right?
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah, I'm 44.
I like that because you started having kids early and you're already like, you've done a lot in your
I started
time.
when I was 6. I had my first kid when I was 6. I had my first kid. They were like, nigga, your seed was producing at 6? I was shooting clear at 6. Yeah, mine was cloudy. No, I said, I had my
Big
first
balls.
baby. Yeah, that's big stones. I had my first baby when I was 18. So my oldest is 26. but I
Okay.
grew up in the 90s, and I feel like, I don't know if the 90s affected any or even still has an effect on any of your creativity at all, but I feel like it changed the landscape when the 90s touched down because the internet happened. Like now, would we actually be able to reach as many people? Have that social media influence like that. Like I tell a lot of people that want to come from other states here now, I'm like, you don't really have to. You can
there's
stay
no
where
need.
you at.
There's no need.
There's no need. How do you feel about is there anything that has impacted the way you behave now in the industry, tapped into the 80s, and how has social media and the internet changed your image and how you produce your content?
So many thoughts in my head. When you think of the 90s, I want to go back to that because I remember there was a lot of black sitcoms
Facts.
in the 90s and a lot of black movies that had amazing soundtracks, and it just made you feel good to be black. And those black shows would like be the show that got the popularity of a certain network. And
Right.
then when the network got popular, they got rid of all the black shows and went back to all the white shows. And then the black movies would have the same 6 actors for a while, and then nobody else could get work. And then, and then,
That's on point.
That's so true.
and then they stopped hiring the blacks because they were like, well, for whatever reason, casting is told if it's not this black celebrity, we won't be able to sell tickets. So, and that's one thing that I've noticed, like a white casting director will just pick a white guy out of, the behind a corner somewhere and be like, you're the next star. You're going to be Spider-Man and the world's going to love you. And it's like, where'd he come from?
Yeah,
but with us, it had to be, Megan, Vivica. It had to be these same people. Nia Long. It was Morris Chestnut. It was the same 7 people that were in everything. But with the whites, it was like giving everybody, you get a contract, you get a contract, you get a contract. So the 90s shifted, and then we didn't see ourselves on screen for a really long time.
Facts, man.
And then we were like, okay, well, let's put ourselves on screen.
Yeah.
So we started producing content. I produced something called the Celibate Nympho Chronicles. That was one of the first things that Citrus Cinema, my production company, created. And it was because at that time, I wasn't seeing women be funny and still be easy on the eyes. Like every funny woman I saw was
Was a
like,
monster.
was heavy set, maybe short curly hair, big girl, really funny, best friend, ho, 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 neighbor. And I was like, well, I want to also, I could be the girlfriend or wife, but I also want to be funny.
Right.
So I did this series about me trying to go on a 100-day dick talks because I wanted to find Mr. Right and stop just fucking, dudes that wouldn't even tell anybody that we were sleeping together if they were around their friends. Because that happened to me in real life. And when I put it out, a lot of people in the comments like, how did you know, girl? So that's kind of that started another renaissance because Issa Rae at the same time was doing Awkward Black Girl on YouTube while I was doing my series. She took hers way further than mine. She had a whole team behind hers. She had more episodes. Next thing you know, she's pitching. She's got a TV series.
Right.
And then you start seeing other black people get to be on TV as a lead, and now we're back to having our TV shows again. We're back to having our movies again. They're back to easing a couple extra people in there that are not the same 7 that we've been seeing. So
We need a new Negro here.
so they're allowing the new Negroes to come in. So I'm excited that renaissance is like recirculating. But your question was about, you said something about the 80s, and then you asked me something else.
No. It was 90s, and then it was your content now and the internet, because the internet touched down, because the 90s is kind of my through line through this episode, and I'm just kind of going back to bits and pieces of it, like how fame, you had to be good at something to be famous, and then the 90s changed that with reality TV and Jerry Springer and all that kind of shit.
Because it saved them so much money to not have to pay the writers.
Yeah.
The writers were asking for more and more money, and they were like, okay, F the writers. We don't need the writers.
Right.
We're about to pretend that these are real things happening that aren't written, but they had, they were still staging the scenarios, but they were calling the people who staged them associate producers and producers, so they didn't have to pay them for the writer's strike, and that made them so much money. They were saving in so many ways. They didn't have to have as many settings and as much, going into the production. The same thing with the talk show era. They were like, oh, let's put a stage and a couch down and let them fight.
Let's just let niggas act up.
Exactly.
And just turn up.
It saved them a lot.
Yeah. So my question was about your content, and are you noticing any influences in your content based on the time frame you were raised, Or is it more so like current events? Like, this is what I'm living now. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm going through right now at this moment.
I think everything is based on where you come from and what you experienced. And like a lot of my comedy on stage is about my relationships and about infidelity and, you know, no good niggas and different things like that. It's because I saw that growing up. I saw, you know, a lot of people that were being cheated on, staying in the marriage, and I guess weighing the options of, if I leave, I'm going to have less than if I stay, and I actually like the relationship. Other than this, like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of that going on where I've said this on other podcasts where like the women in the neighborhood I grew up in, they all knew that their husband had a woman with an apartment around the corner that he was paying for. And they were just like, okay, but we got a nice house and the kids are going to go to a good college soon, and, you know, big happy family, and smile for the pictures kind of thing. So I grew up seeing that. So my content for Celibate Info Chronicles, for my stand-up comedy, for a lot of the sketches that I do on Facebook and what I used to do on YouTube, were a lot of them were relationship based. A lot of them were jokes about, you know, infidelity and silliness like that. Because I don't know. I don't want it to be as big a deal as some people make it. Some people will lose a lot over a nigga who just, you know, wanted to get a nut, and I don't see it that way because I was raised by dudes. So women are always mad at me because they're just like, she's stupid, but I'm like, am I? Because I'm so happy. And I'm happy and fulfilled. So I don't know.
Y'all got a dope dynamic. Your relationship shit that you spit on stage. I don't want to get too much into it because I want people to come see you live.
Yes, please.
But it is interesting because when you have a viewpoint of recognizing, like, okay, this person's a man. This is how they could possibly behave. I'm a woman. This is how I could possibly behave. Let's figure out a way to make it work to where we're both happy and address those issues in the beginning. And a lot of people aren't willing to just be honest and transparent. I was talking about this on Brent's podcast the other day. Like, I feel like transparency, it should be contagious in a relationship. And that's what gets people close. I'm just going to tell you exactly what I am instead of you assuming. Because a lot of times people will look at, I had a chick tell me the other day, I already know you a Scorpio and you get green eyes, you ain't shit. Automatically. I'm like, damn, dude, give me an opportunity to express myself. You might be right.
She was right, especially back in the day, because you said you wasn't shit. You've said that before. But she could at least let you prove it to her.
Damn, let me prove it to you. Don't just come out you green eye, you a Scorpio, you ain't shit. Like, you might be right, but damn, let's have a conversation about it. You know what I'm saying? But I think the transparency is, you got to have that. And why do you think people are afraid to be transparent in their relationship? To just continue to just live this lie and not be just real?
A couple of reasons. One, society tells you what a relationship is supposed to look like. And even if that's not something that you could ever, those standards aren't something you could ever fully do, or your mate probably couldn't fully do, society tells you that that's what you need to do. So in the midst of you doing it, when there's something that you should reveal, you know you're going to be punished.
Right.
Like, a woman will always be like, oh, baby, just tell me. I won't get mad. And then you tell her, and she's like, fuck you, motherfucker. I know you about this shit. I'm taking the kids. I'm making your life miserable. And it's like, well, what you said, you stupid if you believe me. So it's like, if men are constantly being criticized and cussed out and left and divorced for being honest, and vice versa, when a woman, because it's very difficult for a man to imagine their woman sleeping with somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
So if a woman were to come to you and say, you know what, you were right about my work husband. We have been sleeping together on every work trip.
And sometimes at lunch at work.
But it means nothing. I just be bored when I'm out of town. I wish it was you. Like, imagine your wife saying that.
How could you, bitch?
Would you stay or would you go?
Yeah.
Do you want transparency? I mean, could you handle transparency?
To the point where I am now, like, I've been divorced for 3 years. And it wasn't a lot of transparency. It was some hiding. It was me expressing what I wanted over and over and over again, and me feeling like, you know, those needs weren't being met, and, you know, I wasn't mature enough to just step away from the relationship. I was like, I quit and stayed. You know what I'm saying?
That happens a lot.
Yeah, I quit and stayed. And if it's me taking ownership on my side of the street, I should have just been mad enough to say, hey, look, I've expressed what I've needed several occasions. It's not working. I need to step away respectfully. I wish I would have did it that way, but instead I quit and stayed and got caught. And then it was like, yeah, I did it, but let me tell you all this other stuff that you was, you know what I'm saying, you didn't do for me. And it's like
deflecting.
I was deflecting. But honestly, at this point, what I've learned now is, every situation that I'm in, if I'm dating, whatever, like I got to put it all out on the table and be transparent and tell me about you. Like I could care less about what anybody did before they met me. You know what I'm saying? Or if we got the type of dynamic where it's just like you out, you doing your thing, you dating niggas, tell me about it. I like to hear the stories. Like, for real, the nigga did you like that? Damn, that's for real. Let me tell you what I was doing just 2 days ago. And it's like, if I can't have that level of transparency, because who knows what that friendship could turn into later. But if how it starts is how it finishes for me. I just need transparency. And I think I had to be secure enough to be able to hear anything that come out of that woman's mouth. Because a lot of men can't, like you said, they can't handle it hearing it. You know, do you know Tony? Work. Shit, on the lunch breaks, that nigga been knocking me down. And he's been taking me to Taco Bell afterwards every day.
He's fucking her and feeding her.
A nigga hit me in the Del Taco bathroom last week. And but I just want you to know that I love you. Like, niggas can't stand hearing that.
That would be difficult.
I mean, I would be mad that it was Del Taco. Like, really, bitch?
That was something when Billy Sorrells was going through that issue that he had online against, was it Delay?
Yeah.
He was saying all their business online. It was so funny, but he was talking bad about his wife, Billy Sorrells was. But one of the funniest things he said was that he looked at his credit card statement and saw that she had gotten a room at the Motel 6. And he was furious. And he was like, you can't take my bitch to a better motel than the Motel 6? Why you letting a nigga fuck you at the Motel 6? And it was so funny to me. And it wasn't Delay that I think she went to the, I don't want to mix those two stories up, but whoever his wife was cheating on him with, he was upset at the hotel choice.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I thought it was gangster that she charged it on an account that he could see. Like, why didn't you spend the guy's money on this hotel or
you could have
use
spent cash. You
Why
wanted
is
the
it,
nigga to see, like, I
why
want
is
you
this
to
on
see I
this-
got this nigga tearing me down at a Motel 6, nigga.
Exactly.
Disrespectful.
That's gangster.
It's disrespectful.
Shout out to her, man. I need to meet her, dog. Them the type of bitches I like talking to.
I mean, and she had some good snapback apparently because she had him online acting a fool. So I was like, it's got to be
crazy
good.
box could have crazy bitches got the best pussy anyhow though.
Yes.
But I feel like if you acting up online and going in on niggas, like she must got some power box.
Which reminds me of more merch that I have. I have a shirt that says I got that juice box. And it's a picture of my head in it with a juice box around it. And when I go on the road, I sell panties that say I got that juice box right in front of them, and they always sell out.
You ain't got juice box unless your panties got crust in them when you pull the motherfuckers off.
Because if it's dry.
Yeah, if you ain't got panty crust, we were talking about that with Charlene's episode. If you ain't got pie crust in your shit.
But not too much, because if it's too much, there's something wrong.
And if it's some
and
color,
you need
if it's
to,
color
you need
to
to
it,
change your diet.
It's a balance.
And take some penicillin or some oregano oil.
Yeah. If it's
Is
some
that,
color
is that
to
an
your
opportunity? You can make some like ones with pH testers in them. And
panties with pH testers.
That's what we need. So before you have sex with her brothers, she pull her panties down and you're like, oh, it's too acidic for me, baby girl. You're going to need to eat some fruit and drink some water.
It should be like, you know, on the pregnancy test, it's a plus or a minus, depending on how, when they pull the panties down, you should be able to see like a minus sign.
Exactly.
Something's wrong with the box. Like, oh, your shit's negative.
Nah, that's chlamydia, baby
Yeah,
girl.
you
That's
need
the
to
wrong
go
color. I can't do
You
it.
got green pie crust in your panties, bitch. There's something wrong with your shit. What's wrong with you?
That's a great
funny. Yeah, I'd
invention.
love to have a conversation with her, man. I done been through so much. I done seen, like, my ex-wife shot me, like, all kind of shit.
I love that story because you were holding your kid and the other kids were watching.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Straight
love
guy.
that story. Yeah.
Straight guy. Like, if it wasn't
And if
for
you
God.
hadn't have killed a raccoon with the same bullet, I mean, with
she
the
really
gun,
watched it.
you would have.
Oh,
you
she
wouldn't
been
have.
I
watched the
shit.
podcast.
Look
I'm a
at
fan.
I
I'm
like
a fan.
that. I
friend
like
of the
that.
show. That's what you have to refer to her now.
Yeah. Y'all talk to Tangerine if you want to know about me. You know what I'm saying? She wild. I appreciate it. It's
Yeah.
straight God. Straight God. I feel like his hand's been on me, even though when I was on some wild shit sometimes, which I still am. Every now and then, I'm a work in progress.
Hey, man, you only get to be Charlie Newhart once. Live it up.
Live it. And I got a great community too of believers and people that I call and say, hey man, I'm dealing with this, man, pray for me, or hey.
Nice.
And they suggested reading, and you sound like you're a reader. I want to get into your head a little bit about some of the books, because I suggest books to my listeners sometimes.
As you should.
You sound very well read and like you're just open to new knowledge and information. Do you got some books you can recommend to people off the top of your head?
Yeah, I love reading. I've really gotten into audiobooks in the last few years so I can get through a book a month without having to sit still.
I love it.
One of my favorite books is The Now Habit.
Oh, shit.
The books I read are usually autobiographies by people who are successful and also personal development books. Okay. So I was reading a lot of books that would help me to fight procrastination and getting things done. The Now Habit is an amazing book. And I also love Mini Habits because a lot of us, we might start off the year or the month with all these goals. And we're like, I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours a day and I'm going to read a book a week and I'm going to do this and that. But Mini Habits teaches you to just do a little bit. Maybe just put your gym clothes on today because you haven't been to the gym in 2 years. So just put the gym clothes on and you've accomplished that goal for today.
I like
maybe by the end of the week of putting it on, maybe you drive by the gym. And then maybe because you're by the gym, you say, you know what, I might as well go in. You know, mini habits will build you to what you want to go, what you want to do. Like one of my mini habits is to, if I don't get to the gym, to just do a single sit up or butt bridge where I lay on my back and just, lift my pelvic to squeeze my butt, keep that butt tight. Just doing one of those is a goal of mine per day, because psychologically, once you do a little bit of it, you're going to want to do more.
Right.
So just getting down on the ground to do that one sit up, I will be done with my goal. I can check it off. But while I'm down there, I'm going to do 50.
Yeah, absolutely.
And while I'm down there, I might as well flip over and do some push-ups.
Yeah.
And while I'm down there, I might as well do some side crunches. But it's just the mini habits get you on that journey to do more.
Right.
So if you say I want to read a book a week, well, just read a sentence or just take the book out, like just mini habits. So I really love that book. I love the 4 Agreements, of course, but everybody talks about that. But that was one of my favorite books because to me, it's a modern day Bible. And
Facts.
for me, Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving earth. And I think the 4 Agreements is a great example of that. Because if you actually live your life remembering those, you won't have beef with people. You won't take things personally.
Don't take it personal. That one is
that one's fire.
hell yeah.
Because it's like you be mad at somebody that saw you out in public and they were like, why didn't you speak? And da-da-da. And it's like, well, wait, why didn't you speak?
Yeah. And
Well,
you find out that they was rushing away from you because they had to go take a shit.
Or because somebody passed away and they just got the news. Like you never know what somebody's going through, but we always think things are about us. So that book is a really good one. I think I heard you talk about this. The War of Art was a great
Stephen
book.
Pressfield. I love that book.
So my friend, a comedian, Dean Edwards, who lives in New York, he had done a season of Saturday Night Live. He's a good friend of mine. I was about to hire my friend Owen Smith to write the Celibate Nympho Chronicles for me because he's a good writer. And he was like, no, it's your story, Tange. You should write it. I was like, no, I'm not a writer. He was like, you should write it. And I was like, oh, come on, man. I got money. Let me just pay you. And he was like, let's just talk about it, what the character means and where she's coming from. So we had a brainstorming session. And then Dean Edwards just serendipitously bought me the book, The War of Art. He was like, I really love this book. I think you'd like it. He signed it and gave it to me. I read it in a couple days, and it motivated me to write my own stuff because it was like it teaches you to get away from distractions and to get stuff done and how to use your creative fuel. So those two men I credit for starting my writing career because I wasn't writing my own content. I was acting in other people's sketches and I was acting
Saying
on
other people's
TV.
words and not your own,
But then I was like, oh, I can actually give my perspective on life, and that book really helped me with that. What am I reading right now? I was reading I think it's the Big Box Store. I'm reading about the Amazon experience because I'm interested in how this man made so much money off of this little idea of selling books online.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's when Amazon was supposed to be just an online bookstore. He was competing with
Bezos
Barnes and
is
Noble.
killing them now.
And now he's this billionaire that's doing all these things. I'm looking at my audio books thing, but
That's funny you mentioned that though. I do that. I've been doing that for about the last 10 plus years, is reading a book a month, like, man, or something. Now I'm going back to reread some of the ones that I went through, like, damn,
I think I'm about
missed
to
this.
I'll go back to some too because when it's been a while, the Everything Store, that's the one about Amazon and the creation of that.
Everything Store?
Yeah, because Jeff hasn't written his own book yet, so I found the one that my friends who work in high levels at Amazon tell me that Amazon recommended them read.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
I like the fact that you read autobiographies too. That's what my dad told me when I was younger. He was like, look, you're going to be doing some acting comedy stuff. Look, I'm a mechanic, and I build hot rods. But if you want to learn how to do it, you got to read autobiographies of people who have done that, and then you do what they do. And now I'm like an autobiography fanatic because I feel like I'm sitting down with them, like, for real?
Yeah, especially if you listen to the audiobook and it's their actual voice. Like when I listened to Tiffany Haddish's, Kevin Hart's, I even bought Amber Rose's audiobook because I'm like, y'all can talk down on her, but y'all know her name. So she's doing something right because she's made herself famous.
Facts.
And you forgot that she's just a big white bitch. Like she cut her hair off and she talks about why she shaved her head and, you know, how it made her stand out. Yeah. And you know her when you see her. And she bagged a couple of very successful, you know, celebrities and gave them babies. And, you know, it's just like, I wanted to know her story. And it was called How to Be a Bad Bitch. I'm like, well, sign me up. So I read that one. I'm not beneath reading something like, you know, I don't have a problem with Kim Kardashian. You know what I'm saying? Like people, what she's doing to black families, I get it, but they're being, it's not that she's forcing anybody to date her.
She ain't begging these niggas.
Kris Jenner ain't forcing these men into the lives. These people want this attention. They want this family. They want this.
Ray J.
Well, he didn't have to sign it. She heavily persuaded him, but he still could have said no. He was already famous. He was already the sibling of someone famous.
That nigga wanted that ass.
He didn't have to do it, but he did, and now he felt bad about it, and he's finally telling us.
I'm gonna be 100, man. I don't know if I'd be able to look Kim Kardashian in her eyes. If she come up to me talking shit, I might be like,
What do you mean?
If she come up to me requesting something, if she's trying to influence me to do something, if she want me
it's
to
Kris Jenner who is the influencer though. It's her mother.
But even still, Kim, I don't know if I'll be able to look that bitch in the eyes. Like, get away from me. You make niggas crazy, bitch.
Yeah, she's perfect.
What's going on with your pussy?
She sculpted herself, and she probably did the vajuvenation or whatever to make her vagina the perfect vagina.
I might have to smack one time just to see.
For science?
Like, just get in and get out.
Speaking of Kris Jenner, I did do. I'm sorry to cut off your joke, but yes, go ahead and smack one time.
Smack one time with a hat on. No, I wouldn't be able to hit her raw because I feel like if I hit Kim raw, then I might turn crazy and shit. So I smack with 2 hats on. Please go ahead.
You would knock her up? Give her another black baby?
I wouldn't spray in her. I think it's dangerous to spray in certain women because there's something in that pussy that'll make a nigga crazy. But I'm notorious. I like to smack raw. I can't even lie.
Who doesn't?
We had to talk to others. Is there any other way other than clapping inside? I like to clap inside.
Raw
but
is life.
There's some women though. It's like if I see you got a long line like Erykah Badu, I wouldn't hit Erykah Badu raw.
Oh yeah, she's gonna take your soul.
She's a soul
gonna take
taker.
Your soul. Have you
got
burning
ass
incense?
Too. I didn't know when I was listening to all them songs. Oh, what a day, what a day. When I seen a video of her shaking her ass on stage, like Erykah Badu got ass.
She's thick as fuck. She just hides it, and the man that she's giving herself to knows all of those secrets.
She got ass, but she drive niggas crazy, and it's something she'll take your soul. I feel like her, Kim, a few other women take your soul. You got to hit them with a hat on. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of Kris Jenner, which is, of course, Kim Kardashian's mother, I booked a Hulu commercial earlier, I think it was last spring. And at the time, I didn't know what the commercial was for or who it was with until I got to my fitting. And they were like, oh, you're going to be working with Kris Jenner. And I just got so afraid.
Seriously?
I was like, I thought she was going to be this big bitch that was like going to have this entourage and like not look me in my eye. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm working opposite her. Like she and I were the only ones that were going to be in the scene. And I was like, nope. But when I got to set, and she was like 40 minutes late. So I was like, oh, here she goes. She's being a diva. But when she got there, and she did have an entourage, but I respected her entourage because she had one person, of course, that was checking her hair, another person that was holding an iPad to show her what she looked like on the monitor. She had her own monitor. I was like, I heard that. I want my own monitor.
That's lit.
She had
where's my monitor?
She had a wardrobe person, a photographer. She had like this whole entourage, but she was so nice because what I didn't remember is that she was out of her element. She had lines, and she's not used to scripted.
Oh,
so she was like, Tangerine, am I saying it right? How do you think I should say this? Tangerine, how was that? Like she was looking to me for affirmation and confirmation. And I was like, oh, well, I'm a pro at this. Let me let you, you know what? Kris, try it this way. You're doing good, but try it. You know,
that had to feel good. That had to feel good. Look at
I was so afraid to work with her, but she was so humble and so sweet. And when I said, "Hey, let's do a story for the Gram or whatever," she's like, "Absolutely." And I was like, "Do you have a favorite filter?" Because I know she knows all about stuff. She was like, "Lisa, what's our filter that we like to use?" Because they know all about that. And I was like, "She's on it. She's a business woman, and people hate her, but she's about that paper." And you don't have to work with her, but you know,
that's that commerce side of the game. I don't hate on nobody getting it back. Like some people give Tyler Perry flack for some of the shit that he do, his content, and it's like it may not be something that I will continually watch, but I love his work ethic and his grind.
And he's made them respect him. When he built that studio that was bigger than the studios out here in Hollywood, they were like, "Oh, he doesn't need us. Well, we like him now.
Now we like him. Now we want to look what this Negro did out in Atlanta. Fuck, man, he bought the whole Delta complex and made a movie. Just a whole. I respect his hustle, his grind. And his content may not be for me, but I cannot hate on nobody's work ethic on how to get the bag. And that's that commerce shit that we talked about. You know what I'm saying? Or even like, and I get a lot of bits and pieces from reading these autobiographies. I read Jay Leno's autobiography, and he said something in there that I'll never forget. He said, if it's a role that you don't agree with, if it doesn't fit your frequency, never say, he said, just say you're not available for that, because ultimately you're not emotionally available for it. You're not mentally available for it. And that changed the way I operated with some auditions and shows and things that I just wasn't comfortable with. I was just like, you know what? I'm not available for that. It's not my job to express my full opinion to you every single time.
You'll burn a bridge by that.
You burn a bridge. So now, and it just that one piece. And if that's all I remember out of that autobiography, like I could just take that. Like, I'm just not available. That's why I love reading autobiographies.
There's a book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which is about decluttering your home. It got really famous, actually, after I read it. I started hearing people mention it in movies and TV shows by Marie Kondo, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. Okay. And it teaches you to get rid of things that you don't love. If it doesn't bring you joy, she takes every single piece of clothes out of your closet, and you pick each thing up one by one, and you ask yourself, does this bring me joy? And if it doesn't, you get rid of it. You donate it or whatever. If it has a tear or rip in it, you donate it. And a lot of us are holding on to things like emotionally because, oh, well, my aunt bought me that. And even though I hate that sweater, I don't want to throw it away because my aunt bought it for me. Well, your aunt already got the pleasure of buying it for you, and she got the pleasure of seeing you open it. It served its purpose. If it's not bringing you joy, you're not coming home to peace. Get rid of it. So you go through everything in your home. You go through your junk drawer, and she does things by category. So clothes is a category. Miscellaneous could be love letters, and that's the last thing because it's really hard to go through love letters. Photos, she'll have you throwing away photos. If you took pictures of scenery when you were visiting a certain town, she's like, you could find that on Google. Get rid of that scenery. Like, she has you minimizing your life in such a way, and the way you fold clothes is so anal retentive military style, but you get rid of so much stuff and you're so much space in your drawers when you do things her way. So I actually love that book so much that I got it on audio and paperback. Then I watched the documentary that came out a few years later on Netflix. She has some episodes of her actually going into people's homes and doing this rearranging and organizing with them. And she's blown up from that. So I really love that book. I recommend it to anybody who's living amongst a lot of things that they know they don't need and feeling like they don't have enough space. Because even if you live in a studio apartment or a 6-bedroom home, we tend to fill up our space with stuff we don't need. And our cupboards with, you don't have the matching lid to that Tupperware. Let it go, sis. You don't even use it. Like, all this stuff is mismatch. Get rid of it. So I really like that book.
I like that. Those are excellent book suggestions. That's kind of how I wrap up a lot of my episodes, with just book suggestions and tools, because it's good to watch and be entertained. But I believe in like edutainment, man. Just grab even audio. One of my favorite proverbs is, he who tills his land will have plenty of bread. Tilling your land is indicative of your heart. Like, what you put into your heart, you get bread. You become an attractor instead of a chaser. And,
Amen.
And that's, books will help you do that. Audio, reading. She just suggested some great books. Earlier I talked about The War of Art, and what was the other one? 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra.
Oh, I like that one too.
Love that book.
I like that one too.
I heard Big Sean talking about it in an interview, and I went and got it immediately. Like, let me read this book. And like anything with books, you may not take every single piece, but just like with the Jay Leno book, the best thing I remember about that is, hey, I'm not available. If you can just take a few pieces from a book and actually apply it.
I'm sorry. That was the whole point of me bringing up Marie Kondo, not just to recommend her book, but she was saying when you go to a workshop or take a class and you come home with all the notes and the binder and all that and you save it for years, she was like, don't save it. Whatever you're supposed to get out that workshop, whatever part you remember, you've already remembered it. Throw those things away. So that's why I brought that up, because you saying you read that whole book and you might have got one thing out of it, you got that out of it. You're holding on to all these. You still got binders from college classes that you're like, oh, this is the subject that I work in. You got what you're supposed to get out of it. Get rid of it. That's what she says.
I like that.
Yeah.
You got me mentally walking through my closet right now. Like, man, why am I holding on to that old ass cross color sweatshirt from?
I'm gonna need extended therapy because I still have shit from high school.
And I've gone to my friends' houses and helped them. Like, I'll go in their house and for free, because there are people, if you go to her website, there are people that are getting paid all around the world to come and Marie Kondo your home. But I've done it for free for my friends, because it's easy for somebody who's not emotionally attached to your stuff to be like, what are you doing?
This?
Yeah, get rid of that.
Get rid of these dirty ass sandals, man. These Moses sandals. Get rid of these.
Moses sandals.
Get rid of these motherfuckers.
So I could help you like that.
Hey, listen, man, I had a really good time. I'm
Me
so
too.
glad you stopped through.
Thank you.
You gave a lot of great game and depth to who you are, because you earned it. everything that you're doing, and I just wish you much success in your
Thank
career.
you.
And I'm gonna do that all female show, Laugh Factory, Long Beach,
January. I'll be back.
Oh
Long
yeah,
Beach Laugh
Tangerine
Factory.
will be back. That show. So you can check me out every first Sunday at the Laugh Factory in Long Beach. You can check me out on YouTube, Charlie Newhart, on IG, I am Charlie Newhart, TikTok, all that shit. Website, ilovecharlienewhart.com. If I ever get removed from any of this bullshit, you can just go to my website and find the videos. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. I had a good time. Thank you for coming through.
I had a great time as well.
Oh yeah. Her wrap it up. Yeah, you got to give your shit again. Yeah.
Oh, and follow me on all social media platforms. If you know my name is not spelled like the fruit, it's spelled Tanjareen. I have my own website, so if you can't remember where else to find me or where my shows are going to be in your town, just go to tangerine.com. You click on comedy, it tells you where my stand-up is. Oh, I remember another one of my favorite books. This is random, it's not in my promo, but my favorite book is The One Thing. That book is amazing. The One Thing. When you're trying to figure out what to get done for the day, what's the one thing you could do that would make everything else easier or not necessary?
Ooh, prioritize.
The one thing, but it goes into spiritual. Like, I didn't expect that book to go from being something about procrastination to go into spiritual stuff at the end, but it became a really deep book, and I forgot to mention that one. The Now Habit, The One Thing, The 4 Agreements, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and Celebrity Biographies. Those are just some off the top of my head, but like I said, I try to do a book a month. But anyways, tangerine.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook at Official Tangerine, and Twitter and all the other sites as just Tangerine. And watch me on Amazon Prime. Family Time, Millennials, Fat Tuesdays, the era of hip hop comedy. And I want to thank you for having me on this podcast, because the way you talk crazy on stage, I was worried. I was like, if I go on his podcast and he starts talking crazy and I'm going to get canceled. But I was watching the podcast and I was like really enjoying them and realizing that you're a deep person and you're very intelligent, and you don't even need a guest, because you're here giving us stories, amazingly crazy stories about your life that we are very interested in learning. And I was like, okay, I fuck with it. I want to do it.
Yeah, I
So
appreciate
thank you.
that. Yeah, I'm wild on stage.
You
Absolutely
are.
wild.
But this is very educational, edutainment, like you said.
Yeah, and it should be. We have that duality, but I know that this is an opportunity to teach, and I appreciate that compliment. And like I said, I only want real motherfuckers on the show, and you've struck me as that from Jump Street, and I appreciate you sharing your story. Yep, represent Inglewood. It's at least for me, it's refreshing when I run into people who are in the business and the industry, and then they real as fuck at the same time. They're not like they can't be bought.
Thank
you know
you.
what I'm saying? And you strike me as that. So thanks for coming through, Tangerine. I
for
appreciate y'all
having me.
tuning in, man. I love y'all because I love myself.
Bye.